Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to Women Wednesday. We're excited for another great show. Today's going to be a fun show for you. You're going to get to see a little bit of the other side of Eric, as our guest today is my co-founder of LifeFlip Media, runs two other businesses besides being the CEO of LifeFlip, and also my beautiful wife. We're going to talk about a series of amazing topics, focusing on the businesses that she's built and helping out folks find a way to build their own business during this time when over 40 million people are finding themselves unemployed. We're all looking for income. Just yesterday in our show, Kelsey Edwards was sharing with us on how she found a way to supplement her income while acting, of course, in Hollywood is down. And she's found a way that's almost better money than acting. Go figure. So we're going to have Lucie stop on by and we're going to talk about these subjects. It's important that we share different types of leaders out there, and I'm excited to have my wife on the show. Again, she's been on a couple previous episodes, but she's built an amazing business, and I really want people to listen up and take the advice that she has. So that brings us, before we bring Lucie out, that brings me to an interesting point that's been going on for the last couple weeks online and everywhere we go. That problem is, folks, is we live in a time where people just simply don't get it. Everybody has an opinion and no one is right and no one is wrong. Well, we have to be unified because we've reached a point where we have 40 million people unemployed. We've made this enemy of every cop is a bad cop, and they're not. And we all know that. And people running around saying defund the police. But we don't really have safety when we do that. Just because we've gone the last 3 months without a school shooting, that's due because our students, our children, haven't been in school. I implore you, if you're watching, to stand up for what we have the rights for as Americans. We've been held in our homes for 3 months over a disease that it depends on what day of the week it is, whether we could go out in public and protest with masks on, masks off. We have to fly with masks on, we have to shop with masks on. It's your choice if you want to wear one or not. We don't really know the whole numbers. Any given day, someone will go on the TV and say, we've got this all under control. At the same time, somebody else will tell you, guess what? It's not under control, and we're having the worst numbers ever. It's frustrating. It's the most disorganized year we've ever been in. I know some people who have bad years. I've just never met a whole country having it together. It's crazy. But we have to remain focused on what's ours. And we have to have those tough conversations. Now, race is not a tough conversation. What our black friends in this community and all communities across America have been going through is not new. It's hundreds of years old. And don't mistake yourself. You could have your opinion on whatever you believe, and you could go around and tell Eric you're wrong, that you don't believe in all lives matter. Saying all lives matter is like telling me on 9/11 all buildings mattered. Well, that's kind of a redundant statement, people. Stop saying all lives matter. We already all know that. That's like saying all oxygen is good. It is, because you need it. It keeps you alive. But we have to stand up. If there's anything that we've been taught, and I have to give a shout out to a good friend of mine on social media, Dana Ball. She always chimes in with some amazing thoughts on a lot of my posts. And what we've been talking about is, we talked about with Mark Berman, I guess, last week, talking about shows and the way Netflix just seems to know. Now, there's a couple series on Netflix I highly recommend to anybody who's just looking at all this confusion and trying to figure out how to, A, tell your kids, 2, figure it out for yourself. A lot of people don't know a lot of things. So what I found is Netflix has this amazing series focused on Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of history out there. I never knew of the Tulsa Massacre of 1921 until I started watching these shows. I never knew about the 3 black boys that were freaking lynched in 1918 in Duluth, Minnesota, as these freaking dweeby white people stood around smiling while 3 people died in front of them. 3 Americans died in front of them. Remember, we're a patriotic country when it's other brown people from other brown countries that we get their oil from, that we get upset that they killed Americans. It's funny how we don't look at color when it comes to Americans dying at the hands of terrorism. But in our country, we need to point the finger. And this has gone on too long. And I know this is tough talk, and so many people are like, well, I tuned in not to watch this. You're right. You probably didn't. But it's something that weighs on my mind. That's why we have these Eric rants to start off almost every show. Because it's important to me as we go into Women Wednesday and we talk about, and we're talking to the woman I love for the last 16 years of my life, She's built an amazing business, but we have to deal with all of these issues. And we've had deep conversations on how this affects our business. Do we respond? Who do we do business with when this is going on? Because we can't do business with people who don't believe in the same things that we believe in. If people are out there and they're not taking the right stance, I know that there's stories I've been told of businesses that still refer to people in Asia as Oriental. What the hell? Like, what year do you live in? Everybody knows it's 2020, and I seem to think some people have forgotten that it's 2020. That's what it is, folks. It's 2020, and it's our job as Americans to unify each other. So I hope when you tune in and watch our show every day, that you're seeing what we're talking about and understanding what we're talking about is so key to the way that business gets done day to day. We talk about topics that, hey, yesterday was all about LinkedIn and live streaming to make money. Today, you have my little Eric rant, and you have an amazing guest. I have to say that she's my wife, but she truly is an amazing guest. Thursday, amazing guest coming up for you. We're going to tell you guys at the end of the show who our surprise guest on Thursday is. I think you're going to like it. And Friday, we finished the show strong. If you're a comic book fan, you're going to love our show. But again, we mix it up and we give you a little bit of everything. We give you the ones and the twos because that's what you want. So tune in, share with your friends, and you don't have to listen to the rants. Fast forward. Go wherever you want when you watch it. If you're watching this on replay, fast forward. You don't have to listen to the Eric rant. But what you have to do is remember that you live in the home of the free. People die for your freedoms. And we die and we don't look at the color of our skin when we die. I've lost far too many friends to suicide as veterans coming home, and I've never looked at them as their skin color. But I do know my friends who are black, the stories that they have told me, the prejudice and racism that they felt. This isn't something new. Turn on Netflix, like I was saying. Watch those shows. See what Robert F. Kennedy was doing in the late 60s before his life was tragically taken. He was making a difference. But did he make a difference earlier in life? Let's be clear, that didn't happen. We all know the Kennedys. Rich, white Irish folk, right? Their daddy made a ton of money. I mean, they ran for office. The difference is they served our country in World War II. They came home heroes. So having money has always been something that run for president we always know. But if you look at the Kennedy family, race wasn't always the first thing that they cared about. And then JFK and his brother said, we got to make a difference. And they started talking about this guy, Martin Luther King. And it went through, and our civil rights were changed. Because you go tell our children now, 13 and 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds, do you know that we used to have our black friends have to sit in a different room? They couldn't even ride on the same bus, couldn't sit in the same bus station. They couldn't dine with us. Could you imagine that in 2020? You know how hard it is to explain how dumb we looked then? But think about how dumb we look now. In 40 years, do you want some guy who looks like me, sitting probably floating on a cloud or something, telling you what I'm telling you now? No. Why don't we learn now so you don't have to have some guy who looks like me 40 years from now? Probably won't be me unless I'm like on a Smucker's jar. Probably won't be me telling you this, but folks, we got to do better. Anyways, let's get on to our show and let's welcome our first guest. I am so excited to bring this guest onto the show. She's been on before, but we kind of always had her talking about different subjects. She is my wife. So Lucie Mitchell will be joining us. She is the CEO of LifeFlip Media, basically an agency that helps athletes, celebrities, and business influencers get themselves media. We have friends that do that. Put them on the media. We put them on TV. We help them with branding, agent contracts, anything that they need. We help them with that. That's what LifeFlip Media does. My beautiful wife is the co-founder of that company. Well, because my wife can't sit idly by while we grow this amazing business for the last 5 years, she also started another business working for an amazing clothing apparel line called Zaya. And Zaya, during the last 3 months that we've all been locked down, that's right, they've had their best numbers ever, growing as a company that's 3 to 4 years old. It's been simply amazing to watch this company grow. And my wife also is going through getting her health and wellness degree or certificate or whatever people get. She's getting it. She's going to help people find their why in staying fit. Because fitness doesn't mean you have to look yoked. You don't have to be those folks. But fitness is a mindset that comes with what we've seen. Folks have been on our show. The great George Bryant, who's been on here, talks about meditation, right? And that's a mindset. We all have to put ourselves in the right mindset. We've also seen a friend of our show, Michael Valor, talk about on social media. He talks about setting time in your day. We've talked, Montel just last week shared with us. What did he tell us? Remember? Were you paying attention? I know that was a deep episode, but what did Montel say? A lot of your day could be blocked out, right? Set your day so you know what you're doing so you don't get caught staring at a computer all day long, watching shows. Never mind, you should always watch at least an hour a day of our show. That's what you need to do. But anyways, I'm excited to bring out our next guest. So let's bring our only guest, not our next guest, our only guest on Women Wednesday, the one and only Lucie Mitchell. Hey, Lucie, welcome to Women Wednesday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
You know, it's weird that we're in the same house interviewing each other, but I'm fine. It's because it's typical to interview your spouse in the same house in two studios.
I thought I would still be make it seem virtual by still being in my office than being in your office.
I know, because it's such a far walk. It's what we're doing here, folks. It's how we spend every day. So we're going to jump in. I wanted to bring you on the show. I know we talked about it, but bring you on the show because besides being an amazing CEO to LifeFlip Media, you also have started your own business and also working. I talked about it in the opening, talking about how you are going through getting your certificate to be a health and wellness coach or guru or maven or what all the cool fancy buzzwords are. But we're not going to talk about that today. I want to talk about the amazing success that you've had with this upstart, anything that's under 5 years, I call an upstart apparel company that to me, wearing it, loving it, you wear it, you look fantastic in it, this amazing brand called Zaya. You've built a successful team, you've had success with 40 million people unemployed, right? We know we have a big problem on our hands. People need to earn income too. Unemployment doesn't always pay the bills. You've been able to create this team because this is your passion. You really fell in love with it. And you've tried other, I don't know what you want to call them. What are they called? These online in e-commerce businesses, whatever. I don't know. They all have different names. But you've found success with Zaya. So let's talk about what drove you to work with Zaya. I think that's important so people understand it if they go look for it. Real fast before people get started, if they want to cheat while they're listening to you talk, they want to look, what is a good website for them to kind of look right now as we're talking? Since we're going to be talking about this for a couple minutes, I'd like to be able to guide them. Like, what's your website so folks know?
Honestly, if they went directly to my personal website, which is luciemitchell.com with an IE, it has everything about me as well as specific tabs about Zaya active on there as well.
Cool. Okay. So just if they want to follow along. So let's talk about what drove you to Zaya, number one, and then let's jump into some questions that I believe folks out there are going to have about how they can, you know, the truths and the myths of what you do. So what drove you to Zaya?
Well, you know, I think my Zaya story or my why stems back to community. For me, I have always had a passion or a drawing to a sense of community, to a sense of sisterhood, and which is odd because I do have 3 sisters and they all live in California, and I love them dearly. When they watch this, got your booze, but I have just wanted to be a part of something bigger, and I ended up somehow finding this company on Instagram. And I actually watched from afar for a year and a half. This company's only 3 years old. So believe me, I kick myself. If I could literally kick myself in the backside, I would for not jumping the gun. But I kind of feel like that in itself was a calling, because I don't think I was in the right place a year and a half ago to even take it seriously. And maybe Zaya wasn't in the right place for me a year and a half ago. So we're going to take that point and come back to it. We'll circle back around to being in the right time, in the right place, in the right frame of mind when you get into something like this. So, you know, flash forward to 7 months ago when I was in direct sales and it just wasn't filling my cup. It wasn't filling that spot in my heart. And I was being supportive of your business and your passion and your dream. And I had just started to embark on the health and wellness coaching journey. I will be graduating next month as a certified transformational nutritional coach. And I knew I wanted to do something with that. And I know activewear and being active all correlates together. And I was still following this one individual who is one of my dearest friends now. And something just kept telling me that now is the time. Now is the right time. And so for me, I just signed up. I did have experience about a year and a half, 2 years in direct sales, but I wasn't successful at it because it wasn't my passion, what I was doing. It wasn't the health and wellness industry, but I was just doing it to try to make a paycheck, not to make an impact. And that for me was key because yes, with Zaya Active, you can wear the leggings and get paid to wear the leggings. Unlike Lululemon or Athleta or Nike, they're not paying you to wear their stuff. And Zaya Active, that's one of our slogans or one of our, not so much our brand statements, but just something we kind of joke about is how often can your activewear tell you that, well, you get paid to wear their leggings. But more so for me was that one of our four pillars is community, activity, light, and uplift. And the whole story behind this brand, which is women owned and created, was that Erin Bradley, who's the creator of this company, was going on a hike, a moonlit hike with a bunch of women. And she kind of stepped back and she watched these women uplift each other in the moonlight during this struggle activity of climbing up this steep part of the mountain. And they were building each other up and they were helping each other. And the moonlight was shining down on them. And it was this sense of community. And she just stopped and she thought, I want to create something that is around these feelings. And when I heard that story, I was like, that I have to be a part of. And if the company went away tomorrow, but the community of women that I met and that essence of a foundation in a business is what I walk away with, I can take that and I can still make something. I could turn that and I can apply that to my health and wellness coaching business. I can take that philosophy and that feeling and that action and I can apply it to the next thing that I do. I can apply that to how I help our business grow, how I can motivate our children, how I can motivate our family. So for me, that's my Zaya story. And that is what has helped me be so successful. That is what I have so many customers coming to me saying, I have had other, and I hope no other reps watch this because it's not my intention, but I've had many customers come to me and say, I had a Zaya rep that I went to, but your passion for these leggings and how you made me feel and how you've worked with me has motivated me to want to stay with you. And like you just make me feel so good. And I'm like, it's just a pair of leggings, but it turns out it's not. So that's how I found this company. And that's what gets me up every single day. I get excited to pick out my outfit, which is so weird to pick. I pick out my outfit. I come upstairs. I've got my Zaya outfit for the next day to go online and tell me, go to my Instagram stories and share my Zaya outfit of the day. And I know that I'm affecting somebody in some way because I'm doing it passionately, because I know the story behind the women that created this tank top or that pair of leggings. There was so much love and passion put behind it.
That's awesome. I love what you said. I wanted to tell you that I was all of a sudden singing a Shania Twain song when you were at the end there, man, I feel like a woman. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to sing, but it's empowering, right? That this is Women Wednesday. We're really getting into this hashtag belonging to us. So what you're talking about is amazing. A women-owned company. And I've been to one of those events. So we went. Funny story, everyone. We were in Nashville right before they closed the country down. So that's where we were in a gigantic bubble, watching all these amazing women go through it, and they do it's like they all knew each other but didn't know each other, but they're all very connected online. And you do use social media, but let's talk about some things, because people always talk about on our show, and the questions that our folks always ask in the comments, they're talking about, okay, this is great, but I mean, how fast do I get paid? Or, I mean, how much work goes into it? And I can say for everybody out there, when it comes to Lucie, watching my wife run a business, besides running LifeFlip, which is, we've got this down. Trust me, 5 years into this, this is what we do. But when it comes to this business, you've had to learn like everything yourself. Like, you've figured out how to engage your audience using Instagram, which is so key, because you weren't that social media person before. I remember we used to go buy iPhones. You were like, it's just a phone. You don't use it for anything. And now, like, I think we compete to see who posts more on Instagram and on social. But tell folks out there, 40 million people unemployed. This sounds like, I mean, I've seen the numbers. I see you in the top 10 the last 3 months during the middle of a pandemic. So what does it take if you're out there and you're looking? What's a real expectation? Somebody comes to you and like, Lucie, I want to join your team. Guide me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. What is, how do they, I mean, let's get some real talk here. What would you say your first 45 days you should expect?
Well, first of all, the first 45 days, expect to not know everything, because I don't even know everything. I've had a lot of individuals say, well, I don't want to start yet because I want to know every single piece of clothing. I want to know every single item. I want to know every single bits and pieces. And I can tell you that in any corporation, any company, there are employees that don't know every single thing. I don't still know every single component. There are apps on this phone that I still don't even know how to use, let alone every single component of what we're selling, and that's the thing. Everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. You just take it one day at a time. But in your first 45 days, one of the things that we completely thrive ourselves on is just get out there and talk about it. If you're of the mindset that, what do I got to do to get paid right away? I'm personally, honestly, I'm of the mindset you're not going to make it. The reason why I say that is because you're not passion driven, you're money driven. And while I know that there'll be a lot of people wanting to hop on right away and be like, wait a second, you're supposed to be money driven. Okay, you're talking about women, and you're selling to women, and women are driven to spend the money. And so we are selling to women. We are selling to women. We are selling to women with a passion. So you have to come at it from a different aspect. And women who are watching us, they do not care if your hair is perfectly coiffed and your makeup is perfectly done. I have sold more leggings with no makeup on and my hair in a bun and things sticking out all over the place. But I am selling the outfit like I'm wearing gold. And I'm talking about how it makes me feel as a woman, and excuse me, but I am a woman, but how it makes my upper body feel and my lower body, and having 3 children, how it holds everything in, how it sucks everything in and lifts everything up. I mean, my husband, honey, you love it when I put those leggings on. And so yes, in the first 45 days, the great thing about it is that I'm a systems person, and that was one of the first things I created was systems for my team. I didn't have a team yet. So I've got an onboarding process. I have got all of the YouTube videos. YouTube is an amazing platform. And we're only 3 years old, Eric. I don't know if I even mentioned that, but Zaya Active is only in February, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary. And last month, I just found out we had 300% growth in recruitment. And I'm not even going to say, for the FTC reasons or whatnot, how much was given out in commissions. We had a promotion of a free pair of Nikes if you rank advanced, and we didn't have enough Nikes. That's how many people rank advanced. So then instead they got a gift card. I mean, that's how much growth there is because the passion is there. So in your first 45 days, the first thing I say is stop and realize, why are you doing this? And I'm here. Let's link arms. We're a sisterhood. Let's do this together. But look for your resources. You're not given a binder of day one. How do you do this? You figure it out. I figured it out. My upline didn't even know who I was when I emailed her and said, hey, Allie, just signed up under you. She was like, wait, what? Who? What? Huh? Because I watched her for a year, 15 months. And then by the time she reached back out, okay, let's have your launch party. I had already had my launch party and already scheduled 3 parties to introduce to all of my friends because I was in the fitness realm. She didn't know what to do. Then all of a sudden she's emailing me. She's like, you've already rank advanced. Why? Because I sat there and I Googled and I YouTubed and I educated myself. I have all of the books, Stories That Stick. I've got the Atomic Habits, dive into personal development. That is huge in any type of business, but especially in network marketing, because you are your own worst enemy. And I never believed that before. I always just thought, oh, God, my husband's listening to another podcast. He's got another book he's reading. I am just trying to watch all these stories of all these people I want to be just like, instead of figuring out who I wanted to be, like, I wanted to be like me. Once I figured that out, that's what helped with my success. And that's what now I'm telling my team. It's like, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Start diving into your own personal development and figure out who you want to be. Because then you will attract your tribe. You will attract your ideal customer. You will attract your repeat customers. That was one thing about Zaya I wanted to say is but what makes us unique is that we're not a brick and mortar. There are no stores you could go to. All of our sales are done through us directly. In fact, you go to ZayaActive.com, you cannot even shop. It will ask for your email address. They will email you back and ask where you're located so they can find a local rep. I mean, what company does that where they don't even take a sale for themselves?
I think what's amazing, I totally agree with you, because I think what's amazing is you guys crushing it during a pandemic, actually exceeding record-breaking numbers. And think about it, 2020 started off basically people spending money. I mean, I hate to give the man any credit at all, but we were having a very good year when it comes to everybody's businesses. And then a pandemic hits and your company, like so many of these companies, because it's not just Zaya, it's almost all of them, these home-based businesses, because now we're stuck in our homes. Like it or not, offices are never going to return. 40 million people out there, and you're in a 4-year-old company with how many people total? How many reps do you think they have?
Zaya Active?
Yeah.
Right now we're 30,000. We're in the U.S. and Canada. And that's the interesting thing that we were talking about. In fact, even the FTC was coming out and really coming down hard on network marketing businesses because they saw an influx through Facebook and Instagram and even Zoom in parties and I don't know if I want to call it social selling, but this online selling per se. And so they sent out this, there were some that were claiming they had the possible cure for COVID-19, but they sent out this warning where you cannot make income disclaimers that we will cure your anything with reference to the pandemic and whatnot. And luckily Zaya Active was not included in that, but we were harshly warned to hey, reel it back in. But yes, during a pandemic, there have been so many. I mean, Color Street is one of them. That is the nail strips. There are still a lot of areas. I think California is just starting to open up with regards to getting manicures and pedicures. That was not included in their phase 1 opening. I thought it was here in Oregon, but I have a girlfriend who was in that, and she said that they averaged, I don't know, we'll just pull a random number, say 80,000 strips per month. They were doing 3.2 million in 1 month of their sale.
Jesus.
They have mass produce during this. How many weeks have we been in quarantine now?
If we go off what the state of New York, and as you know, I watch Governor Cuomo's morning briefings, I think it said 12 weeks. was the one this morning, which made me feel like we've been doing this for way too long. So 12 weeks, but it is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny. You're talking about, but it's the health and wellness side of the house. If you think about it, you feel good. Your nails are done. You know, obviously getting your hair cut is a big thing everybody wants to do, but fitness, right? What have we all seen since March? Everybody's out walking, jogging, running, hopping on a Peloton, which we like to do. We are not sponsored
Yes.
by Peloton yet, but damn it, we're trying. But, you know, if you think about it, these companies are out here killing it. So let's talk about that. So somebody joins your team. What are some things they're going to have to get used to? I mean, if you want to be successful in this business, and you've absolutely crushed it, and your entire team, which I've never seen before. I've seen other businesses that are out there, these multi-businesses. What takes them to the next level? I mean, everybody thinks it's a get-rich-quick thing, right? If you've watched the videos, there's all these influencers, and it's like, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. You come with me and you'll see, look, here's my check, right? We know those folks. We see the videos online. I mean, they come in, how much hard work is it? I mean, is there work involved? Or are you going to do it all? I mean, I know you're a good leader and your team loves you, but like, let's cut the mustard here. There's a lot of people who just come in, and I've heard you talk about them and other people where it's like, dude, you just think just going to show up and people are just going to be like, oh, cool, I'll just buy that. No, it takes effort, right? I mean, you've probably
No,
overcome
it
more
does.
objections now than ever. I remember I'm interviewing the same person who told me I'm not a salesperson. Remember a few years ago,
I know.
you preached that to me. I'm not a salesperson. I'm telling you, folks, when you watch our show, we're going to get real with you. And trust me, she used to tell me, I'm not a salesperson. You want me to sell something, I'm not going to sell anything. Those are her words. Her very words.
I'm not, and that's the thing. I'm not.
No.
I'm not, but I am a really good convincer, itiser, or whatever.
So you're a salesperson. Okay, cool. Just so we convince her or whatever you want to say, salesperson. We'll
In
just
fact, it's even in my pitch per se of when a hostess is getting ready to host a party, because that is how we get our word out. Is we host a hostess will host an online party, and in one of my blurbs it says, you even thought you were never going to buy anything, and look at you now. Not only did you buy, but you're also hosting a party. And I laugh at myself sometimes that I'm like, oh my God, look at me. I'm like, totally that salesperson. But no, look, you sign up with me. I give you your 60-day map. You've got my cell phone number. You've got my YouTube videos. You have got my team's YouTube videos. You've got my grandma team's access. You've got great grandma's team who actually is related to the Bradley family. You are getting in on the what is that word? Coup de la grace of access.
I don't even know if that's a word. We'll just say it's a word.
We're going to go with it. Put it in the dictionary if it isn't. The only way you fail is if you don't try. I can't hold your hand. I can't do it for you. I don't like people who copy paste my stuff. I don't like people who don't make an effort. I applaud originality. I applaud thinking outside the box. And I encourage that, because you have to make this your own, or else your audience, my audience, your audience, everyone's audience is going to start to see the same thing. And then they're going to get bored and they're going to move on. And that's what I tell my team. It's like, and honestly, we're going to get real. I'm still learning how to be a leader. I'm actually having to swallow really hard and go to my husband and ask for help, because
I hear he knows what he's talking about. Rumors have it that he does. And that's funny that you say that. So let's stop on leadership for a second, because I love this topic. We talk about it a lot. And as a CEO of a company, and you run your own company and you have this team, let's talk about it. What are some characteristics that you think of when you think of a leader? I'd love to hear what your idea of a leader is. And it doesn't have to be like describing yourself, but in a perfect world, you jot down 3 things that come to mind. This is what makes a perfect leader. I'd love to hear.
Oh gosh. Well,
yes, I put you on the spot too.
I know. I'm like, because I just went to this 2-hour training on Saturday, and by all of our amazing leaders, reps, and they had so many great nuggets. And one of the three things that come to my mind was a great leader is your team's best cheerleader. Which I thought you cheerlead not only the ones that are doing the best, but even the ones at the end of the pack. Another amazing trait of a leader is recognition. And I'm looking up only because I'm trying to think of my notes and like.
You said one yesterday, actually. And it's funny because, again, I know I pay attention when you talk. See, look at this. The show is living proof. But you said it. And of course, we're always going to tie something into the Marine Corps. Adapt and overcome. I hear you say those things. Like, you have to, adapt and overcome. Situations aren't going to be the same. You mentioned it, copying, pasting, and being authentic, right? We see Gary Vaynerchuk talk about being authentic, being the real you. You are, and you're coaching people on not to just be the copy paste mentality that we just heard yesterday's guest, our Tuesday guest, Jeremy Leonard, talking about even on LinkedIn, right? Each platform has its place and its purpose. Each piece of content you send out is Lucie. Like, we're going to get to it here because my next question kind of leads into it about your awesome post yesterday that you put out. We're going to pick on a celebrity couple announcement that they used Instagram for before we leave because I want your 2 cents on that. But you are very authentic on social. I mean, how do you teach that to your team? Like, you're talking about leadership. Well, how do you bring that to your team to be like, how do you tell somebody to be the authentic you, right? It's one of those random, like, be you, don't be them. You can read a book and you can't become Gary Vaynerchuk. You can't become Sheryl Sandberg. You can't become Oprah, right? Everybody wants to be those people, but there's only one of them. You can't duplicate them.
And I think for me, it's a phase of life that I'm in. I don't have that fear anymore. I don't have that fear. There was a long time where it was like, oh, I need to be like so-and-so because they're up here. So my posts need to be like them. Or I need to, oh my gosh, my mother's going to read this, or somebody that I'm working, if I was in the corporate world or whatnot. I have come to a phase in my life and experiences that I have lived through and acknowledged that I have no problem being that transparent. You have to be comfortable with that. If you are going to be in the business of direct sales where you are going to be online and you are going to be stories going live, you have to become, in my business, I have to be comfortable with my body to go live and talk about a sports bra. That's my choice. Does that mean that the next person is not going to sell as many bras if they don't take off the tank top and show the bra? No, but I'm also a health and wellness coach where I am empowering women to own their bodies, whether they weigh 400 pounds or 100 pounds, because I don't know what journey they've been through, and they need to embrace the fact that your body and what you've been through is a powerful and emotional state, and that is nothing to hide, and that is nothing to be afraid of. So my vision and my voice is used for something completely different. So as a leader, I do have to express to my team, find your voice, and as long as you express it authentically, you're using it in the right way. But if you're trying to use your voice to speak as me, everyone is going to see that, and you're not going to get very far in life and in this business.
Whew, solid. I like that. Woo, mic drop. She's done. So let's talk about being authentic. Recently, you put up a post. It's one of my favorites. We'll edit it for the purposes of not offending people this early in the morning. Just because some people probably won't like profanity. And we don't drink on this show, so it's too damn early to be drinking. So let's not do that. But you posted, and it's a mindset. And I love that you do these on Monday, these Monday mindsets. This one, and I'll read most of it. It's edited, so folks out there, I would, of course, love to use some of the words that she used, but we'll edit them for you guys. It says, it's talking about Mommy Monday. That's why I love Women Wednesday, because we talk about, you guys are moms. Like, it's different. Like, dads, we kind of just do dad stuff. But, like, you guys have so many roles as
I really love hearing you talk As a mother, yes.
Yes. I'm going to read as a mother right now, just because it would be weird you reading your own post. Just saying, it would be really weird for that. I mean, basically, you're talking about here about F this shit, right? I can say shit. I can't say the F word, but I can say shit because I can. It's my show. That's why it's named me. But you talk about F this. Let's talk about that mentality, right? Like, let's dive into a couple of those. Like, where did you get that mindset? Like, it's not a negative thing. I know a lot of people, they see the F word and they're like, oh, God, that means you're being negative. Well, it's not. You're talking about sometimes you just have to let go and not let everything own your head, right? Like I always talk about owning. If they don't pay rent, they don't live up here. I mean, is that what your post? I mean, your posts are very much set in your mentality that seem to speak volumes for other people. So when you wrote this one, what was that about? Because I have one last we're going to close with, but I love this post yesterday. It was just amazing to read it because it felt so empowering. Even I was like, I'm empowered for you. So it was pretty awesome. So, I mean, let's talk about that mindset, right? Getting your mind right because it's helped you. I know that you've had a lot of things that you talk about when you've tried to build businesses and you've fallen flat on your face. Failure, right? We talk about failure a lot. And I think you've learned that as an entrepreneur, but it was your mindset, right? Would you agree that your mindset was a lot of it? So what got you out of that I can't do it mindset to the I don't give a shit if I fail. I'm going to charge this hill and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it done. What changed your mindset?
I think a lot of it had to do with, the mindset and Mimosas Monday theme that I try to, when I remember, is for my moms. And I think for me, what it boils down to is the number of conversations that I have had with moms, and their mindset is that they have no life other than being a mom, and that they have no control, and that they have nothing else. And they have it, and when they say that, they say it with a hesitation and a negativity, not a I want nothing else but to be a mom, but it's I have nothing else. I am a mom. And I don't agree with that mindset because first things first, when I wake up every single day, I am Lucie. The second thing I am is a wife because that's what I was first before I was a mother. Then I am a mother. And then anything else left of me after that falls into place. And I decided that I need to be a voice for women, for mothers, to let them know it is okay. And that's what that post was every once in a while I just sit there and I'm just like, you know what? F this shit. And if I can say it, there's a lot of moms out there that are mouthing it. They're mouthing it under their breaths. They're mouthing it when they walk in the room and there's all these dishes in the sink. And they're looking around and the kids are sitting there. Other husband's sitting there. It's just like, man. And it's like you got a choice. It's like you could get the dishes done. You let them sit there. Or, it's, whatever it might be. It's or it's quarantine and you go to put on those pants because now you can go outside and you go to zip up those jeans and they just won't button. And they just won't button. And then what do you mouth to yourself? Fuck this shit. That's what that is. It's like, okay, if you want to mouth it, well, sweetheart, I will say it out loud for you. And I started changing my mindset the day a doctor looked at me and said, if you don't change something, you're going to have to give yourself insulin shots. And your children might not have a mommy. And that moment was 7 months ago. For me, when I thought I was doing everything right, but my body was going in a downward spiral. And that could be a whole nother episode all in itself about health and wellness and listening to your body when it sends signals. But for me, when I realized, oh my gosh, I could leave my children motherless because my body's sending me signals I'm not listening to. Well, sometimes your mind is sending you signals that you're not listening to. Well, you need to change your mindset and you need to listen to those signals. And sometimes you just got to say, F that shit.
I love that. F that shit. I love that. We're going to run with that. That is the other hashtag for our Women Wednesday today is F that shit. Go use it. We'll see how well it goes for you. Don't put it on Facebook. Someone will probably report you. You can put it on Twitter. You can put anything on Twitter. Just think, you could cap lock and just write Law and Order. Some other jackal does that every day. But let's talk about the last topic. I know we've had long discussions about it because I think we both saw it, and you actually said something about it. I kind of just went, oh my God, did they really post that? Because the picture didn't match the statement. I don't know if people watch this family, know this family, follow this couple on their podcast, which is pretty outstanding. I know you actually turned me on to listen to it because it was this happy married couple talking about everything, how they get along, sex, all the good stuff. And Rachel Hollis and her husband, who just released his book earlier this year, announced in a very random, strange, weird Instagram post where they're like holding each other and smiling that they're getting a divorce after months, and they're not. I think their podcast is still going on. So what's your reaction to that? As somebody who follows that, I know we all have our podcasts. Joe Rogan's come under heat recently. Other people have come under heat for what they're doing. But you look at this couple, right? And you don't look at them as some celebrity couple, so you're not like all hooked on them like we could get with, Hollywood stars. I think there's only a few people left in Hollywood in the music world that are still together. I think Faith Hill and Tim McGraw top the list for being married the longest. But what's your thoughts on this announcement and how they did it? It seemed kind of douchey. Like you don't care about the people who followed you. Like, hey, we're going to put this douchey post out because, hey, divorce is awesome. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, for the longest time, I don't even think that I had even words because I was just like, that's the picture you choose? Hey, just to let you know, we're getting a divorce. So, respect our privacy while we work through this time. But, and he's in the background, hey. I watched my social media blow up because, especially being in the health and wellness industry, Rachel Hollis is one who is speaking at Beachbody summits and pretty much every direct marketing aspect you can think of. She's speaking at it, every convention. And the Rise Together podcast, the Rise Together summits. I wanted us to go last year, and it just didn't work out with our business travels. And then they had the podcast. I had you listen to a couple amazing episodes. I've got her book. For me, it boiled down to, I think I would have still had respect had it not been presented that way. I think that just made it seem like, hey, we decided we're going vegan. And I would be like, okay, well, you were just talking about how you just barbecued up half a cow, but all right, today you're going vegan. All right, I'll get on board. No. And I just I did a post on my business page. I didn't post it to my Instagram about our marriage. We've been married for, I think, longer than them.
Yes, we have. We beat them by 3 years.
Yeah. And I did what I felt was a very monumental post of just we had a rough patch, and we put ourselves even before our children. Some people say you don't stay together for the children, and we stayed together for us. We worked through it, and we definitely kept it off social media. We definitely didn't play it out whether we had this business going or not. But it definitely would not have been one of those us high-fiving each other. Yo, bro. I just think that there's an etiquette, there's a decorum. And I think that that's out there forever. Their children are going to see that at some point. And they came under fire so much recently with regards to Black Lives Matter. That somebody in their business took a quote of Maya Angelou and made it their own. Oh. And she had to come. Yeah, there's so much. I think she needs to crawl under, shut everything down, regroup, collect herself, figure it out. And I think that this is just that extra domino that's just continuing to fall. Mm-hmm. Because, but I just think that there's a lot of marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. You're talking about two personalities that are great together at times, and then they can be bad at times. And quarantine, I mean, we work at home together. We have been doing this together for 4 years now that we have lived in Oregon. That is why my office is downstairs and yours is upstairs. There's a reason for that because we 6 months we shared an office. 6 months we lasted for a reason. That was yeah. It was that's why we're still married. But we have made it through quarantine. We've had this conversation. I think we have fought less during quarantine. And it does shock us because we had this conversation like, I wonder how many marriages are going to last, how many relationships are going to snap. And then we looked at each other and it's like, well, this is our daily life. We work at home. So I just am still floored. I actually don't even like hearing about it because it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like of the number of women, and that's what I read, the number of women who looked up to her and went to their husband saying, I want you to listen to this couple so we can be like them and work together. And then literally over a 24-hour period, it breaks like that. It's just, don't know what goes on behind closed doors. They didn't lead up to anything. It's none of our business. And I think it should have stayed none of our business for a while. That's my opinion on it.
I love that. I think that's accurate. I think that's the thing is, you portray yourself as one thing, people start looking up to you. You have this responsibility as you become an influencer, as somebody who's holding summits and taking people's hard-earned cash to come listen to you and change their lives. And then turn around and you're just selling a bad bag of goods, right? I mean, stealing quotes, I hate to say it, but people have been doing that for way too long. I think since social media goes, everybody has a quote post that they, claim to be theirs. Just bad timing during Black Lives Matter to not be doing,
It wasn't during Black Lives Matter. I want to clarify that, but it was February.
Oh, still Black History Month, but yeah.
Black History Month. But either way, Maya Angelou, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm going to go do a quote tomorrow. I have a dream. It's totally mine.
Yeah,
no one else has ever said that one.
And the apology was it was a very lackluster. There was a whole thing on it and whatnot, but it was a very tone deaf apology or whatnot. So it was a hole dug deep and one that should have just shut things down and just kind of regroup, re-educate your team. And I think several more mistakes were made. And then to come out like this, another tone deaf, emotionally deaf, like there's a huge disconnect within that company. Yeah. And it does. And again, you want to talk about leadership. It goes back to your leadership. Those are the leaders right there. And that was a tone deaf announcement right there.
So I want to ask you before you go up, I actually had this question pop in my head. Speaking of Black Lives Matter, there's obviously it's the number one thing in our news feed. We proudly took our children and stood in a peaceful protest with our children 2 weeks ago, which was the most empowering thing I can say that we've probably done. It was awesome to sit there and do it and see those families around doing it. As a business owner, and I'm not talking about LifeFlip, I'm talking about seeing yourself out there with your job within Zaya. And even with LifeFlip, but we're pretty much aligned on LifeFlip. We support our Black brothers and sisters out there, and we'll do everything in our power to be a platform for them. But for your business, how are you handling it? How are you seeing? I know that you've told me about some of these nightmare businesses that are basically in the Stone Age and referring to, folks of Asian descent as like this, Oriental, like it's like a rug or something from the 1900s. I mean, how are you seeing business doing, and what are you doing in your business to make sure that you are stating your opinion? A lot of people want to show what side they are. And we talk about being anti-racist, and I know you and I are 100% aligned on that. How are you making sure your team, everybody stays in message? Because it's a very fine line, right? A lot of people are looking at businesses and how they respond to this current matter that is finally really, I think, bubbled over, reached its breaking point from the 30s to the 60s. And to even 92 when they had the riots in LA. All of this is bled over to today. I mean, how are you handling your business, talking about this? Are you open about it? Are you not discussing it? I mean, it's weird, but you're a female business owner, so you kind of fit in that category that we talk about on the show on Non-Women Wednesday. And we've talked about it on Women Wednesday, where our Black brothers and sisters, they've had racism for almost 700 years. When talking to Montel, which was an amazing stat to hear. And then women, right? If you talk about it, women just getting the right to vote and do all this amazing things, which seems so weird, but you guys still aren't respected in the workplace. So many of you are not CEOs. You're not given the same pay. And then you add in our, LGBTQT. I'm sorry, I'm not being disrespectful. I just know I'm trying to get it down and not leave anyone out. So no disrespect to anybody, I promise. I'm just a knucklehead. But when you see these three communities totally affected by it. We had the Supreme Court decision come down yesterday that basically slammed the Trump administration, where we cannot, we love everybody and everybody gets the equal opportunity. Nobody's getting judged. It doesn't matter who you lie down with. That's not our choice to make. But how are you? Let's talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, which I think is the most important. It is the most important. How are you handling your business during that time and communicating your team about it?
I think first of all is I heavily relied on the leaders within my company for direction, because I can't speak for Zaya Active as a whole. And when this is something completely new for me. I needed to educate myself personally. I needed to educate myself on what white privilege is. I needed to educate myself. I was dealing and I'm dealing with this not only as a business owner, but as a mother. And as a citizen, and, I had to sit there and re-educate myself. I was that individual that said all lives matter. I don't see color. And I didn't understand how wrong and how racist that really sounded, only because that's how I was raised. And it wasn't termed that way in the 70s and 80s as a bad thing. So while I was educating myself, I did heavily rely on the leadership of Zaya Active. And when they came out with a powerful statement, we had an emergency leadership call, and they were all in tears. And they donated to Kenya Keys, and they donated to 4 amazing scholarship funds. They gave us the opportunity to donate as well, which I personally, on behalf of my team, donated $50 to each of the scholarship funds. I gave all of my team members had the links as well. And I did not make it a requirement, but I did just reach out to them and just say, look, this is all our own journey. And I can't tell you what to do or not do. And just as long as you're educating yourself and you're being as transparent as possible. And also in our advertising, make sure that we have amazing, reps of all colors within our community, and that we are showing them, and they loved it. It's so many. I think somebody even in our marketing group had said, I would love to see some reps of color wearing our items. And like, I don't even know how many we have. They said, yes, please, please, share my stuff, share me in these items. And I personally, which I said, I don't want it to be offensive. Is that okay? I want personal permission to do so. I want to make sure that I am respecting you and giving you due credit. What is your name? What is your Instagram handle? I want people to follow you, and the ones that I reached out to were just like, yes, Queen, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's what I'm able to do, because honestly, I'm having to step back. I just got this amazing book, that I just ordered, Vibrate Higher Daily, Live Your Power by Lalia Delia. This was actually recommended, and she's an amazing spiritual writer and self-help pioneer, and she's a Black writer. And that I feel like is really going to help me tap into a higher power of understanding. So that's me being completely transparent in that I am a leader of a team. But it's a very touchy subject. Yep. And that's where I'm at. It's like, I'm still sitting here. I did an amazing Peloton ride today that had me in tears. And then I did a speak up, meditation afterwards. I was trying to meditate, but the dog was right in my face. So I got to do the meditation again. But, the ride I can't even say her name, Tundi. Mm-hmm.
I've heard that's an amazing ride. Everybody that I've seen on social talking about it has just raved about it. I read this great post. It was either Jess King or Dennis Morton, one of the two of them. And neither one of them looked anything alike. But I don't know which one it was, but they both talked about it was a powerful ride. Even Matt Wilpers talked about it. And I know Alex Trezant, who was the first person who brought the Ahmaud Arbery murder to my attention. And his that was one of the most powerful. And then his post, I know we were actually both watched it together, his powerful post about being afraid as a black man in New York City. And he's very well known. I mean, talk about a guy who hangs out with many amazing people, and he was afraid for his life. I mean, the fact that his mom still calls him on Friday nights to make sure he gets home. It's pretty powerful. So I heard that ride was amazing. So I want to thank you for joining us today, talking about these topics. You're another amazing, woman leader that's out there. We love having you here on Women Wednesday. You always come on, drop amazing knowledge. I think a lot of folks who are tuning in today are really going to take away a lot of the power that you talked about. And they know that they can go to Lucie Mitchell with it. CIE, don't spell it like I love Lucy, but LucieMitchell.com to find out, and they can connect with you and always find you on Instagram. I think your stories are very empowering, and follow along with what you're talking about. And if you have any questions for Lucie, go ahead and feel free to message her. Her socials on our website so you can connect with her, and she'll be able to jump into questions. If you've left any questions in the comments on the show, if we haven't been able to answer them during the show, we'll go back. I'll make sure Lucie jumps in and checks them too and can answer and connect with you and guide you. If you want to learn more about Zaya and her team, I'm sure she'd love to talk to you. If you just want to talk to somebody to empower you, Lucie's a great mentor. So I want to thank you again for coming on the show and really driving home this great point on Women Wednesday. So thank you so much, Lucie, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Awesome. It's been another powerful Women Wednesday here on To The Point. One of the things that I love about our show is the fact that we will bring on amazing guests to talk about topics that can help others. I think that's what makes us different than so many of these other clown shows that are out there. I'm not going to take up my space with a rant today to respond to some of these clown shows that happen to be on defending and scumbagging and using a community I find near and dear to my heart. That's not what today's show is about. But don't worry. Their time's coming. Also, I want to share with you that we have an amazing Thursday show for you. Last Thursday, we had the amazing Air Force veteran and retired Oklahoma City SWAT police officer, an amazing now singer and actor, and we also found out he's doing comedy, Philip Paz. There you go. I know I was corrected for calling him Phil. Philip Paz was on our show. Amazing voice. Well, we heard you guys, and you guys asked for Scott and Suki to come on the show. So your wish has been granted. They've agreed. They're coming on our show. We're excited to have the one and only Scott and Suki show on our show, 9 a.m. Pacific, Thursday. So you don't want to miss that. So make sure you don't go to your VCRs. We're not even on a VCR. So tune in on Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button. Tell a friend to make sure that they connect with us. And remember, we want to hear from you. If you or a friend think they should be a guest on our show, please reach out to us. Hello. Simple, right? Hello. Remember, I always tell you guys this. You guys know the rules. Hello, jazz hands at tothepointtv.com. Send in your recommendations. If you know a veteran or a first responder or a healthcare worker who we should be interviewing on our Military Mondays, let us know. We'd love to hear about those too. Remember, it's hello at tothepointtv.com. As always, I've enjoyed spending this time with you guys on Women Wednesday. I'm excited for our show next week. We have two amazing guests joining us next Women Wednesday. We're going to bring back the wonderful Pavlina Asta is going to be back. My co-host. Well, we're going to dive deep into her. We're going to talk about what's going on. She's not a millennial. She's a Gen Z. Because I'm a Gen X, so she's a Gen Z. We're going to hear about what Gen Z thinks about what they're seeing. They have been raised in such a tech environment where everything, every thought, every news, everything has been broken via this device. We're all connected, as we've seen in interviews before. This device will blow your mind. We do have a special episode coming up on Tuesday where we're also going to be talking to a 5G expert to learn more about these devices and how truly powerful they are. So keep in mind, amazing shows coming up for you. We want to thank you again for tuning in with us. As always, I'm Eric Mitchell. And I'm the host of To The Point. I want to thank you on behalf of myself. I swear I can talk this Wednesday morning. I need more coffee. It's early here. On behalf of myself and the entire team here at To The Point, I keep always wanting to say LifeFlip Media. To The Point with Eric Mitchell. We want to thank you for tuning in. It's been always wonderful for you guys tuning in. Remember, share our show with your friend. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube, of course, and right here on Facebook. If you're watching us for the first time, thank you very much. And we're excited to see you tomorrow on Thursday. So have yourself a great Wednesday. And as always, I'm Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.